There's absolutely nothing funny about jerking off in a bathroom.
You guys ever like okay? I don't jerk off in public often.
Well, that's a good way to start.
But I've taken a lot of long trips. I used to commute occasionally, like a few times a year from North Carolina to Maryland. It takes like 6 hours. Yeah.
Are you talking about the age-old adage of the Beltway beat?
The Beltway beat, correct.
Okay. Right, so you've literally jerked off in your car?
in a truck, but it could have been a train. Yeah, no, not a train. That would be rude. But no, your own personal vehicle.
Right.
Actually, should we use the term masturbate? Because to my mind, jerking off actually implies that you were able to climax.
I didn't climax. That's a good point. Because
Okay.
it's inconvenient. I mean, if it was a good way to do it, I would have.
Oh, so you're just edging.
Yeah. I was keeping the arousal high because I was sleepy. I was bored. Actually, somebody stole the fucking radio out of my old truck. So I had no sound except the gentle humming of the road passing by.
It wasn't a crowded stretch of road, or were you more?
There were people next to me.
Yeah.
But here's what I was thinking. I was thinking, hey, look, I can't. This is very childish thinking, but it's sort of true. I can't see their crotches in their cars. So they probably can't see mine.
Well, right.
Unless they're like in an 18-wheeler and like trying to see my dick. Like that's the only way they would catch me. No, but yes, that's the only. That's the closest to masturbating in public. That's not true. I've masturbated in the woods. It was in the woods. Nobody was there.
Oh, all right. It's in the woods.
Yeah, I was coming home. There was a shortcut through the wilderness.
Right.
You know, I don't know.
You stopped.
Yeah. I was like, nobody's around. I'll just, and it was kind of weird. It was sort of, it centered me. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say, did it bring you back to your roots?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we did 50,000 years ago.
Oh yeah, no, actually, one of our presidents, one of the presidents of this great republic, I think it was fucking John Adams, said that it spoke highly of Congress in nature, and he said that America
taking your constitutional in nature,
right? No, well, I mean, but with someone, he said he said it was a distinctly American invention, but probably one could argue that that's our right, and possibly our duty as Americans.
No, for the most part, I have to say, I prefer to masturbate in the privacy of my own home.
Right.
I like the I'm pretty shy for the most part. I don't just show strangers my dick or anything.
Right.
Like that. I just want to make that clear. I'm not, I do things that may be frowned upon.
Right.
But they're not illegal and they're not morally wrong in my mind.
I see what you mean.
And it doesn't sound like you made a habit out of touching yourself.
Nah, 2, 3, half a dozen times.
A handful of times. But
that's funny.
Yeah.
I get it. A handful. Okay. Yeah.
So
I'll stop laughing at my dick.
You call that a dick?
I think we should just next time we do the show, we should just start with the dick stuff.
Right.
It gets us hype. It gets us really like.
Well, yeah, it gets us visibly or audibly excited.
You're nuttin', huntin', buntin', trying to figure it out, frontin'. Fuck that, I'm like Tut Black rap with the stuff that chemists is trying to figure now in the lab on me.
Speaking of dicks, the DEA.
Fuck those guys.
Actually, well, let's start with a bit of station identification.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. This is the New Low News Show. My name is MC Graham.
My name is King Kobe.
I am Adam with no nickname. I have this document here that was printed out.
Wait, you have a paper document?
I actually have paper.
Holy fuck.
I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah.
You have a printer?
At work, yeah.
Okay,
we actually have
yeah.
2 printers. It's high fucking class.
Wow. So what does this document say?
The introduction, okay. National Association of Chain Drugstores, DEA Standards and Red Flags. Introduction. This document provides an overview of DEA's corresponding responsibility standard that applies when pharmacists dispense controlled substances. Controlled substance. What is a controlled substance?
The good shit.
The good shit.
Yeah.
Okay. If you don't know what a controlled substance is, look it up. The document also lists several red flags that DEA believes pharmacists must investigate and resolve before dispensing controlled substances. The following is not an exhaustive list of all DEA standards and red flags.
So it's not exhaustive, but how long is that?
This thing that I printed out is 8 pages long.
Okay.
So yeah.
Well, like, and I was reading. There was some legal scholar I was looking into, like, because he died recently, and he made this quip that I'm going to paraphrase, which is that, like, if a society relies on a complex network of laws but a very poorly defined public morality, then it's going to be very weak, right? And so, like, because I'm just looking at this paper you have right here. I was looking at it a bit before we started talking. It's like, these are referring to laws that no one really knows about.
Exactly.
No one's going to go look up. I mean, you can find
and to this day and age, not necessarily enforced all that often.
Right. But it's like you have this whole network of legislation.
Right.
Pages and pages and pages, right? And then, but you have no overarching sense of what you're trying to accomplish. So, like,
why does this law even exist?
Right. So what is the DEA trying to accomplish in this instance?
Tell you what, like, part of this section I'm going to read is about physician conduct, something that the pharmacy or pharmacists can use as a red flag, and then all right, I'll just read this example right here. So, prescribing questionable quote-unquote cocktails of commonly diverted drugs. So here's an example. Patients received 168 tablets of oxycodone 30 milligram, 56 tablets of oxycodone 15 milligram, and 56 tablets of alprazolam 2 milligram.
What's alprazolam?
Alprazolam is a benzodiazepine used for anxiety, stress. Sometimes it can be used like different certain things, like certain other benzodiazepines can be used as like muscle relaxants.
So benzos and opiates.
Yeah. Yes.
Benzos are also used for alcohol withdrawal.
Yes.
Because alcohol and benzos target the same part of your brain.
Benzos are beer in a pill.
Yep.
Yep. So DEA noted that, quote, even assuming that there are patients to whom a physician can legitimately prescribe these controlled substances simultaneously, it is the totality of the red flags which renders them unresolvable and thus made the dispensings unlawful.
Now, see, that's actually like you read that sentence to me a couple times before we started recording, and the sophistry is very elegant because it's like, even though there might be legitimate medical conditions that would require painkillers and benzos, right? Because let's say you're really sick and you're in a lot of pain. Well, pain makes people anxious, and it also makes them hurt. So hey, let's give them an anti-anxiety,
exactly,
or a muscle relaxant. Plus these painkillers, hey, it'll make them feel better. So even though there are conditions like that do exist, and even though they might be legitimate prescriptions, when you prescribe them, they're not legitimate prescriptions.
It's like totality of the red flags,
right? So even though there is a condition that requires this totality of red flags by virtue of being a totality that can't exist, it's incredibly circular. Yeah. But this is what passes. This is they just let it go. In DC.
Well, you would think that. What about, certain tests that they can prove?
Right, yeah. Is there some way that you could override this? Like, no, this guy's really sick.
Now I want to share this with you.
Right.
All right, here's another bullet in this physician conduct thing. Prescribing combinations of drugs that can cause medical complications. Okay. So this is another thing, like a red flag and physician conduct. Now, my pharmacist also explained it to me how this is kind of weird because we don't know a patient's drug regimen for pain management, and in that particular sense, we don't know their tolerance to certain opiates.
Oh yeah, like
or benzodiazepines.
It's not your business to know. I mean,
exactly.
Oh yeah, and that was actually a problem. I have an uncle who passed away, and he ran into this problem a bit because he was in a lot of pain for a long time, like a decade. And so he had a pretty high tolerance for opiates, and so he would ask for like really hardcore shit or whatever,
right?
And they'd be like, "Well,
we can't."
I think it's drug seeking or whatever.
Yeah, and it's funny. He probably was a little bit drug seeking. I think that was the consensus, but it's kind of like he had this tolerance, but it's like, how can you communicate that to someone?
You can't
without sounding like you're just trying to get high or something.
Exactly. Yeah. So here we go. Here's the example of this. The combination of these two narcotics, a benzodiazepine and a muscle relaxant, would have a, quote, synergistic effect on a patient's central nervous system and cause respiratory depression, thus posing a substantial risk to any patient actually taking the drugs as prescribed. Thus, from the time that the pharmacist agreed to fill the prescriptions, he had reason to know that the doctor's prescriptions lacked a legitimate medical purpose. This is actually from a case. Okay, this actually did happen. All right. So now this is where it gets into it. Notwithstanding this, there is ample evidence showing that respondent, that's a pharmacy, repeatedly dispensed cocktail prescriptions for oxycodone, hydrocodone, alprazolam, and carisoprodol. Given these potential medical problems, even if the doctor told the pharmacist that he did blood tests and MRIs, this would not make the prescriptions any more legitimate. So you actually have fucking proof. You have evidence.
So this
is the DEA.
This is such fucking bullshit. Totally agree with my pharmacist on this one. They are trying to criminalize medicine.
Right.
And who gets caught up in this? Cancer patients, HIV patients, people
that are really sick.
Are really sick. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then who are they trying to put the blame on now?
Y'all.
The pharmacy.
Right.
Sometimes the pharmacist, but the pharmacy. CVS's in Florida. Granted, they were pill mills. That's what they're trying to really crack down on.
I know, but
certain pharmacies in the same company, they actually lose their DEA license. They cannot dispense any controlled substance. Can you imagine owning a CVS or being the manager of a CVS and probably 25% of your business is just sucked right out because the DEA revoked your fucking license?
Right.
Yeah. And then what about your patients? They can't even get their medication, the legitimate prescriptions.
Yeah,
someone who has cancer getting their fucking Percocet. Someone from the goddamn ER with a broken leg cannot even fill Percocet for their broken leg.
And the way the hierarchy works is it's like the DEA is playing like doctor and neuroscientist.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Medical professional.
What authority do they have?
Well, actually, they're not doing that. They're letting lawyers, right?
Exactly.
Because you're citing cases, right?
Right.
They're letting lawyers determine pharmacy policy. You shouldn't let lawyers determine anything.
Even if the doctor has decided.
Even if it's legitimate, it's not legitimate, is essentially what they're saying. And it's like, and I think one of the things you always have to do when you're analyzing how you're going to change different policies is you need to look at who are we trying to punish and who is going to catch the fallout from this. So in this case, they're trying to punish people,
drug seekers, Rush Limbaugh,
right? Yeah, the Rush Limbaughs, whatever, pill poppers, people
kind of corrupt doctors.
Yeah, corrupt doctors, people that go to pill mills. Trying to punish these people. Maybe not. These people aren't necessarily great people, but who ends up catching the fallout? Legitimately sick people, right? And so then you need to ask yourself, what's worse? That no person ever gets high illegitimately on prescription drugs, but in doing so, we prevent genuinely sick people from getting relief for their pain, or we just let people get high and we let doctors do their fucking job, right? And
that's been working so far.
Right, that's been working so far, and I think, and in this case, the DEA has said, well, at the risk of some people ever experiencing a state of mind which we are going to criminalize.
As anything higher than sober.
Right. If anyone ever gets
you should never feel a moment of pain, but you can never feel any euphoria at all.
If someone is in any way intoxicated on a substance other than alcohol
or
tobacco, the worst drug in the world, no offense, or caffeine, one of the best drugs in the world. If anyone has any other experience, that's illegal. And we're going...
Is there a pill bottle in this room?
I don't have pills in the house.
Yeah, I do, actually. Well, but these are prescribed by a doctor, right? And I don't want to say what they are for fear of...
Well, we're going to watch the DEA. They might be listening in.
I know, I have a prescription for a drug that...
I actually want to... I want to see a label on it. I wanted to actually read something from that label.
Oh, okay.
Not the name of the medication, not how it's prescribed, not the strength, not the anything. But if I'm not mistaken, taking a medication unless in any other way than it is prescribed is
already illegal.
I think it is. I think that actually is illegal.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll see.
That's so they can crack down on people. You're right. Who are abusing prescription medication and charge them with something like, if they're driving or something while intoxicated on prescription meds.
Right.
That would be a DUI, driving under the influence, which is a greater charge than a DWI, if I'm not mistaken. At least in Maryland.
Who knows how they do things in Florida? And that's the bottom line. Right,
I mean, like, all this shit is in Florida.
No, and that's the thing. Like, remember last election when like it was like, oh, looks like Florida's going to be up for grabs again. I was like, God damn it! Like, why do those guys get to matter more than me? Their vote matters more. Because they all like.
It's a bigger state.
Fucking pillheads.
Yeah, pillheads because they're all driving.
Somebody
around.
should do something about that.
That's what I'm saying.
Why can't the DEA just arrest every fucking body? God.
Used to sneak out while Pop's feet kicked back on the couch asleep, lamping.
I actually did have a really interesting nightmare.
Yeah, would you like to share?
Sure. The Joker was terrorizing this one town. I don't know where the hell it was.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to relate it to something, it would be the mall in White Marsh.
Okay.
So I'm leaving this.
I don't know if our listeners can relate. Not everybody.
Not everyone lives.
I didn't think of it that way. Forgetting my dream already, guys.
Okay. So the Joker is at the non-Avenue mall section of White Marsh.
Yes.
Right.
And I'm following him. Okay. And we're walking out of this department store. And, a couple of his thugs, I can tell by the makeup, all the get up, they just are walking in. I start, walking towards the Joker as he's leaving. I actually don't see his face, but I know it's him. So I see a couple of these other guys. They come in, they cross paths, no words are said. And then the only thing that I hear, like the Joker saying, was something along the lines of, it's just like it is on TV. But he was bored. He was, disappointed. So then, as we leave, I cross the threshold of the door. I look back just to see what those guys are doing. So, of course, I see one of the guys just turn his head back and forth, raise his, assault rifle, and just start spraying people.
Oh, shit.
So,
assault rifle.
Me being the responsible person, I just turned back and just kept walking straight. I didn't do anything.
Right.
So then I see the Joker pull out this detonator, and depresses the button, and then boom, this car blows up. So in a way, it was kind of like he was so bored with what he was doing in the mall, in that department store, he actually preemptively rigged something else just to cause chaos somewhere else, in the same vicinity. So, and then after that, it starts pouring down raining. It's pretty epic. It was an awesome sight. Not awesome as in cool, but just,
Well, so, how lucid were you during this experience? Did you know you were dreaming?
No, not really.
Right. Most people don't.
Yeah. I wasn't lucid, but it was definitely a vivid dream. Right. And as it started to pour down raining, then, all these, other explosions, booms, and it was pouring down rain, these thugs would just be walking around the street, just, verbally intimidating people. Not just, hurting them, but just verbally intimidating. It was, really fucking scary. And then, do you guys know who Lena Dunham is?
From Girls.
Yes. She was in my dream. I saved her, so...
So you got the girl.
She wouldn't be the one I would pick.
I know, right? It was the weirdest thing. But I can, this is the interesting part, though. Because it was something weird, an agreement that she said that she was not going to sleep with me. Mm-hmm. So after I saved her, she wanted it.
Right.
And I said no.
Oh. I
actually refused. I said no. You told me that this would never happen, and I'm going to be your friend because that's what we need right now. So then I left.
So you got friend zoned in your own dream.
Yes, you friend zoned yourself in your own dream with Lena Dunham.
Well, Adam's too busy being a superhero.
Yeah.
So.
Dude, I wanted to go get chicken. I left this safety confinement of this small home that was still on this strip mall part. Okay, in this huge kind of parking lot area, huge. Maybe a fountain, I'm not sure. And
Adam would be a chaotic neutral if he was in a comic book.
Yes. And I tried to find some chicken tenders or chicken, some type of
That's
some form of chicken. I wanted food. I thought I was being responsible.
We should write.
Don't have sex, get food. That's what you do in a survival situation.
You're right.
Well, no, the reason I asked you how lucid how lucid you were, if you were lucid, was because one of the stories we're going to talk about tonight incidentally relates to a notorious lucid dreamer.
Yeah. And you talked about assault rifles too.
Yeah, no, it was actually like surprisingly topical. Yeah, because Kobe, he saw this thing on the news about Gabriel Giffords, who was the congresswoman who was shot by Jared Loughner.
She was the victim of the 2011 Tucson, Arizona shooting. So Wikipedia that.
I remember that.
I think half a dozen people died or so. She was not among them. She made a miraculous recovery.
And Jared Loughner was he was like a year before the shooting. He had like apparently gotten way into the whole lucid dreaming thing, and it is kind of a subculture you can encounter.
I've looked on the forums a couple times.
Yeah, I've looked into it too, just because it seemed like, hey, this would be really cool if I could, sort of automatically have control over my own subconscious. Then I realized that I rarely remember my dreams anyway. So what are the odds that I'm going to not only dream but
have total control over it, and then even if it lasts actually long enough to.
So it just seemed like a whole to do. Like much easier to obtain illegal drugs and
Well, Jared Loughner did a bit of that in his past. He is the whole case is interesting when you look into it. It blew up, not only because of the incident, but the photograph taken upon his arrest.
Oh, yeah.
He's clearly not living in the same world with the rest of us. But he's since been diagnosed with schizophrenia.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of the whole, like, James Holmes photograph, where it's like, oh, I wonder what kind of guy would do this.
He looks nuts. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise. He looks like complete psychotic.
Well, fucking Gabriel Giffords, right?
Okay.
Here's what they did. She testified, I believe it was earlier in the week, Monday or Tuesday, in favor of gun control, just generally speaking. And she was talking very slowly. She's still recovering, so one word at a time. And the phraseology she ended up using was, we need gun control. Like I said, very vague, not specific about what it was, because too many children are dying. Right? And I'm like, well, for one, you're not a child, even though you are the victim of gun violence. Most people that die at the hands of gun violence are adults.
Right.
And then two, I don't see why she should have how her opinion should weigh into the issue more heavily. Shouldn't she be considered, not objective? If I was the victim of gun violence, why would you trust me to judge, the issue for everybody else?
Right.
Because of course I'm going to say guns are bad. I also just don't like because she retired to more fully recover. So the fact that they're I don't know, it just bothers me that they're still using her as a
you think
prop,
it's a bit of pageantry.
Yeah, because anybody else could say what she said, or I don't know.
Yeah, well, and also, she's making a claim which you're not going to find a ton of people who are going to oppose. I think too many kids are dying. It's I also agree that kids
I think people dying is bad.
Yeah, I also agree that kids shouldn't be shot. Yeah, well, no, that's because people use misleading terminology when they talk about this stuff. They, for one, they say something like gun deaths when really what they're talking about is murders, right? And and then even you can't even trust someone if they use the expression homicide, because some homicides are justifiable, right? So we're talking about unjustified homicides as opposed to deaths or murders or most of the victims of gun violence no one wants to think about. Most of the victims of gun violence are suicides.
What network?
Well, that's a good point. Actually, I did see an infographic about that, about suicide, because it's something 65% of gun deaths are suicide, and it was talking about poverty and shit. It was the real killer is despair.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is that they say when someone like Gabriel Giffords says too many kids are dying. The statistic they use is literally 19 and under. Okay. So that includes every 16, teenager, 17, 18, 19-year-old.
Right.
Shooting each other over, shooting each other over girlfriends or drugs or
anything like that.
Parking spaces.
Right. Yeah. But the statistic they use is 19 and under. Well, but when people say kids, they mean
12-year-olds
and
younger.
And very few of those die. And if you're talking about literal kids, people that are 12 or under, roughly we're looking at 30 per year die due to guns. Right. And this is in a country of 310 million people.
You not flatter me. I blow you to the wall like an art gallery.
And hey, let's go over to Europe, where they have stricter gun control, and then we have Anders Breivik, who managed to kill 90 people and
right.
maybe
all by his own hands.
All by his own hands. When I first heard about just the number of people that were killed, I assumed there must have been more than one shooter, just because I didn't think how could you even shoot that many people without someone stopping you? And then I realized that's what a society without guns looks like. If some maniac does get their hands on them, well, you just gotta hope they stop.
Spare you, yeah. It's gotta depend on their mercy.
Exactly. So, and then let's not forget the largest act of domestic terrorism that killed the most people was put together with fucking fertilizer.
Oh yeah, you could carry out the Oklahoma City bombing. The new law is not suggesting that you bomb a federal building or kill any children for any ideological reason.
Right.
It's just worth noting that you can legally do that, and you should be able to, because this is the land of the free. You shouldn't. I mean, it's illegal. You shouldn't do it. So you're not able. You're able, but not allowed to do it. You're not permitted to do it, but you should be free to do it.
Right. Wait, what do you say?
Deep like submarine tragedy.
Maybe you can't prevent it. Maybe murder's always been happening. It's going to happen one way or another.
People will find a way to kill each other.
Oh yeah. Like I don't like guns because they're messy. I thought a lot about how I would kill if I did kill, and I won't kill. But if I decided to and could and went and did kill, poison, exactly.
Yeah.
Adam read my mind.
I've done it. I mean, I've thought about doing it.
I have to keep an eye on him. But anyway.
Yeah, I'll start
you guys want another cup of coffee?
Guys want a beer?
Non-stop hits like that bunny with the battery.
Senator Chuck Hagel.
Oh, that Nazi?
Right, no, did you know that his grandparents were Germans?
What?
Right. I don't even know what Obama...
Did they let those into America?
Yeah, no, there are Germans here. And some of them...
Some would say they're the majority of the ethnic makeup of the white population of the United States.
Some would say that, and they would be right. And did you know that they let some Germans who are critical of the awful desert colony known as Israel, they let them speak? They just let them talk and speak their minds, and that without...
anti-Semites into the country?
Right, yeah, no, just someone who... would go as far as to say that I don't give a shit about Israel, that they let them actually talk and speak and have an opinion and not be immediately shouted down.
Graham, I gotta stop you there.
Yeah, but
you just dropped the I-bomb.
Yeah,
a couple times. Here, we'll do a quick test.
Okay.
Hey, Adam just got back in from a smoke.
Where's my beer?
Where is Adam's beer? Okay, so that's number one. Okay, beer had. Adam, how do you feel?
I don't like this question already.
How do you feel about Israel?
Israel.
Mm-hmm.
I know, just coming from a smoke, what are these guys on about?
What do I think about Israel?
Mm-hmm. Do you think about Israel?
I think that'd be a more appropriate question. The one thing I gotta tell you about Israel is
Natalie Portman.
Oh shit.
No,
she's from there.
That's not it. Oh, no.
Okay. What is a city in Israel?
How many fingers am I holding?
Israel.
No, that's a thing. It's a lot.
Israelis populate the country.
Yeah, there are Israelis here.
Yes.
Oh no, and there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're around.
Yeah, Israel.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about Palestine?
See, that's a tough question there.
Yeah.
Because Palestine, you just you got a lot of the Palestinians living over there.
Yeah, you got a lot of them.
And just like think about it.
Just yeah. I mean, technically, some of them are living in what Israel calls Israel.
Right.
So, and also they're kind of mixed up.
So how are they gonna? We'll see.
How do I feel about Palestine though?
Right. You don't feel about Palestine? Do you? Does it make you feel?
I mean, are you saying you're apathetic?
Right.
Because
are you agnostic on the question of Palestine?
I mean,
are you indifferent?
Can I ask you guys a question about
Feel free.
two of those two questions?
Right.
Is something going on over there? I'm just kind of curious.
No, there's always shit going on over there.
Okay.
When is there not? When are they not? One of those two groups. It's actually what the war nerd calls the yelling crescent, right? And this is North Africa and the Middle East.
And
the Levant.
I haven't heard anything.
You know,
I haven't heard about anything.
No, that's
not on your radar.
After a certain point, you learn to kind of tune it out.
Huh?
Yeah, no, you're just like, you know what, not my problem anymore.
Back to Hagel.
Yeah, so Hagel, it's in 2006. He talked about how there was a Jewish lobby in D.C., right? And he probably should have used the phrase Israeli lobby because I don't think there might be a lobby specifically for Jewish interests in the country. What he was probably really talking about was the people who were lobbying on behalf of the state of Israel.
Yes.
Right? Which is so obviously true because you can just look them up in the yellow pages and like go to their offices and ask them about Israel and they'll tell you, yes, we lobby on behalf of the state of Israel. Or
they hold public meetings with the president.
Right, yeah, no, it's not a fucking secret, right? But when he said this, people were like, oh, there's no lobby in D.C. It's like, and this is the problem I have, right? Well, whatever your opinion on the state of Israel is fine. But
right.
if your opinion is that the rest of us need to deny reality so that we...
So who said that? McCain, I think, right?
Yeah, John McCain. You know, and I wanted to sit down and be like, you know, John, you're a Scots-Irish, I'm a Scots-Irish. When have we ever not just fucking said what we thought, right? And here you are denying objective reality.
Right.
For money,
There's no Jewish lobby. That's just a lobby,
right? They're just people, you know. It's like, what are you gonna tell me next? There's no tobacco lobby. There's no fucking pharmaceutical lobby. There's no oil lobby. No, there are tons of lobbies in Washington. They probably all suck.
What is Israel?
Right?
I've never.
Well, that's the thing. You can't even talk about it without fear, right? Of some sort of professional repercussions. But joke's on them. I don't have a job, so there's
you can't cause a controversy.
I can't cause a controversy. There can be no professional repercussions. See,
that's one of the things you have to remember about the new law, right? There's no money in this operation, so our funding cannot be pulled. You can't boycott us
more than you already do. And so my whole opinion is that Hagel, he seems like a pretty cool guy. He was a critic of the war in Iraq. Not initially, he did go along with it, but then once he realized shit was going south, he came out. Mm-hmm. He started to be more critical of it, and admirably against his own party, right? So it's not like he was some Democratic hack, slinging mud at Republicans. He's a Republican criticizing the policies that his party was following, and
so he had let's call it integrity,
right? Integrity, crisis of conscience, and I think he would make a pretty good Secretary of Defense. But of course, because he dropped the I bomb at some point, that was apparently all they really talked about at his confirmation here.
Wow.
Because
they seem fixated on it when it does come up.
And we're forced to not only, in the case of talking about the lobby, deny reality, but then we're also, there's this whole, charade. We were talking earlier about pageantry. We have to go out, Israel is our closest ally in the Middle East.
We have a special relationship with them.
No, we don't. No, we fucking don't.
Well, you know how the U.S. plays. I mean, we're allies with everybody all at once.
No,
somehow we're still...
Well, we have tons of allies. Most of them are shit, the Pakistanis are our allies, and they were they had Bin Laden for 10 fucking years. And I know they knew he was there, and they didn't get around to letting, tipping us off,
Right.
This whole thing they're the closest ally, the only democracy in the Middle East. It's like, shut the fuck up. I don't care if there's
established democracy in the Middle East.
Right. I don't care if there is a democracy in the Middle East. And I guess that's my whole problem.
I'm just saying the free state of Iraq.
Right.
Everything's going great over there now, right? We liberated them. Now they're free.
Right. And they voted.
Yeah, they love democracy, and they do it just like us. Or they do it, I don't know what they have.
Actually, it's probably maybe a little better.
More open and free.
But yeah, so no, the whole thing, I guess maybe because I don't care whether there is a democracy or any democracies in the Middle East, probably puts me...
Here,
really. I don't care. It's not a huge agenda of mine, whether or not a group of idiots get together to cast a ballot to elect a bunch of crooks, to take our money and declare war in our name. That is not something that registers in my mind as being fundamentally important in my life. But since I don't care whether there's a democracy in the Middle East, I don't care about Israel. I didn't care about liberating Iraq. I didn't care about anything. Mm-hmm. So I guess I'm saying the only way to be safe and to not look like an idiot is to never care about what people are doing
and hold no convictions or beliefs
whatsoever. And then when someone comes up to you and is like, hey, do you care about Israel, or do you care about Pakistan, or do you care about Fiji,
or do you care about the United States?
Yes, do you care about yourself? You say, fuck you, get off my property, or I'll shoot.
All my people in the populace, let your arms swing like an octopus.
My coworker, who's an ex-heroin addict, He uses a verb, Dopefiend, is when you're trying to like trick somebody and like get over on them.
Right.
So he always says when people are trying to fuck him over, like, don't try to dope fiend a dope fiend, you know?
I know all the tricks.
Hit your click up with dirty piss out the dick's cup, re-nicked up, kicked up.
Why not just allow certain states certain illicit drugs?
Right.
So if you want heroin, you got to go to Oregon.
Right.
But if you want, actually, I guess heroin would be better for Baltimore.
That's cool. We could, what if we just each state had its own drugs?
Exactly.
If you want to put the time and effort to move there because it's that important to you that you do,
I want to be in Utah, somewhere that's like very far away from me.
Yeah, well, it can stimulate tourism too, because like let's say LSD is legal in Wyoming, I would be a repeat customer. It would generate revenue because I'd be getting on Southwest. You would have a lot of
flying out frequent flyer miles.
Right? Yeah, no, and I'd be going to various hotel bars. I'd be high.
Various LSD bars,
right?
LSD cafes, and LSD.
I'd be buying shit while under the influence, and that would stimulate the local economy. I don't know what I would buy.
Cops would be walking around like, "Hey, bud, are you drunk?" Like, "No, I'm just high." Oh, okay then.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Let me check your pupils. All right, all checks out, sir.
You are really high.
Congratulations.
Good on you, young man.
High five.
But
take these fun acid dollar. Okay, now it's becoming weird. Now it's like a theme park in my head, Corn mazes. And,
God, that would probably freak a lot of people out. Though. If you actually had corn mazes, like with people on LSD. Wow.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't do a lot of moving.
My personal policy is to only do the most hilarious drugs, psychedelics and alcohol. That's it.
I was gonna say whippets.
That counts. It's nitrous. They have it at the dentist's office, so it's just like what we were talking about. It has a legitimate medical purpose. You can take as much of it as you want.
Is that what legitimate medical purpose means?
I read this headline on Gawker. This guy, after a chase, high-speed chase or something like that, police have his car surrounded. He's in the driver's seat, and he's still doing whippets.
Oh, fuck.
While they're basically screaming at him to get the fuck out of the car.
Huffy.
Come on, man.
It's like...
Just grow up.
Well, no.
Get a grip, dude. You don't have to do whippets for 30 minutes.
No, it's like when you hear stories like that, you're like, how did it get there?
Yeah.
Because you see point B, you're always like, where was point A? Where did you get to the point where the cops are telling you drop the can?
So what I'm saying is I'm clever, quicker, better, whatever. 95 degrees in the breeze and -6 over the Bering Seas with no sweater.
La 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 la.
See, I don't think we necessarily need to read this whole thing, so just read until you get to a good end point.
Da 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 da.
Minutes.
Well, it's just 60 minutes of fucking...
It's the new low news show.